Okay, so with this whole, racial allegations lawsuit between Crawford and Arum, I wanted to see, reading from this article, I wanted to show you guys where the beef started, and you could conclude whether you want to blame Bob or you want to blame Crawford for it. But uh, see, what stands out a lot within the lawsuit is that Bob defamed Crawford publicly by stating that he's not marketable and that they lost like 20 million on Crawford. But this article here shows where everything where the beef started, where everything just started going downhill. So here, see, look, if you read right here, this is what started the whole thing. Pretty much what I could summarize here was that that Bob was making the Brooke and Crawford fight, and Bob sent the contract to Crawford so that he could sign the contract and so that they could start promoting Brooke versus Crawford. And this was 2 weeks before the Lomachenko versus Teofimo fight. The thing was that Crawford didn't sign the contract right away. He kept the contract, and Bob Arum pretty much pressuring him to sign it already so that they could start promoting the fight. But Crawford ended up signing according to Arum, Crawford ended up signing the contract the day of Teofimo versus Loma fight. And I think he even signed it like during the broadcasting or something like that, which angered Arum because they couldn't really promote the fight. I think they only mentioned it during the broadcast, but Arum again he had plans at least 2 weeks to before that fight to start promoting the fight, the to start promoting the Brooke versus Crawford fight. So yeah, this is what started the feud between them. Crawford hesitating to sign the contract, and that pissed Arum off. Arum wanted to start promoting him in Brooke, and it's ironically this is one of the issues that this is one of the reasons why Crawford is suing Arum because he would not promote him right. But here in this issue right here that they had in 2020, Crawford was, I guess, he was mostly at fault for him not being promoted adequately versus Brooke because he hesitated to sign the Brooke fight, the contract between him and Brooke. So yeah, so this is what started the rift between them. It pissed Aram off, and yeah, that they just didn't have time to promote the fight. Uh, Crawford hesitated, et cetera, et cetera. And on top of this, I believe that's when Aram said something about, oh well, this guy he's not able to market himself. He needs to. That's like the first statement he made about Crawford was he needs to start promoting. He needs to start marketing himself so that the fights could sell. And in return, I think Crawford and his lawyer they released a contract. According to Bob, was that they released a contract details about Crawford's top rank contract expiring in October 2021, which was going to be a year later. And this even further angered Bob Arum. And it was after this revelation that that it was when Arum got very furious about it, and he ended up talking about losing a lot of money versus Crawford and et cetera, et cetera. So that's it pretty much the problem here is cause and effect. I I don't think Aram is the type of guy that just starts attacking anyone out of nowhere, unless he's kind of like I guess in attitude wise, he's like a bull. If you pick with the bull, if you grab a stick and you start poking the pool, he's gonna get angry, and boom, there goes Bob. Um, Bob was angry. I guess generalizing here what I just said. Bob was angry that he couldn't rightfully promote Brooke versus Crawford fight because Crawford hesitated, And then he got even more angrier when Crawford and his lawyer released the details about his contract with Top Rank. And yeah, so this is what fueled Bob, and this is what made him state these. What ended up with him defaming his own fighter. Um, I would say that, in my opinion, is that Arum still shouldn't have done this. He should have kept everything behind closed doors. Problem with Arum is that he's very outspoken, and I would say yes, he's partially to blame for again not keeping this in behind closed doors, and he still should have kept it shut. But again, to his defense, Crawford poked the bull. Crawford was the one that's pretty much started this whole deal. It's just that Arum, he just didn't respond to it adequately. He should have been the bigger man and should have just kept everything behind closed doors and shut his mouth. But he's an angry old bitter guy, and that opens his mouth a lot. And that's really this is will just fuel the fire. And another thing I want to say about the whole lawsuit and whatnot, and this isn't surprising, but back in 2016, uh, Crawford had re-signed with Bob Arum, and I remember reading a statement that he put out there, and that statement was that he signed again with Top Rank because they have the best fights available for him. That Top Rank is going to offer him the best fights for his legacy, for his career, etc., etc. And I remember at the time that around 2016 that it was PBC who had all the welterweights. Crawford, when he resigned with Arum, he wanted to go ahead and move up to welterweight, but it was PBC that had all the best welterweights. Danny Garcia, Thurman, Porter, Errol Spence, and a few others here and there. Broner, maybe. Broner jumped from 140 to 147, but I think even Jesse Vargas, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not really sure, but they had the majority of welterweights at PBC. But here goes Crawford talking about, oh, I signed with Top Rank because they're gonna offer me the best fights, the best choice of my career, and the best fights possible, etc., etc. That it was a no-brainer. But again, if you keep up with the sport, if you kept up with the sport, at least in 2016, you would see that he was very wrong regarding this. However, uh, when he resigned with Bob, he was getting, I think minimum he was gonna get 3 or 3.5 mil per fight, whether it was a pay per view fight or not. That was the least that they were gonna pay him, and I mean to his credit, financial wise, he was gonna make a lot of money, whether he fought some unknown dude from third world country or tomato can or whoever. He was gonna make a lot of money still, regardless. In comparison to PBC fighters, that I think the top welterweights were probably getting paid like at, around 1 million, 1.5 mil, somewhere around there. Um, yeah, like Thurman and those guys, they were getting paid around 1 million each. Like the name, like the top boxers in the top boxers in the sport. Crawford, on the other hand, whether he fought pay per view or not, he was still getting 3 or 3.5 mil per fight. It's a hell of a deal. So, I mean, it was a really good deal for him, and I think I want to say that it was the money that really made him blind or something. Because career wise, he wasn't going to get the best opponents. Uh, he ended up with some decent opponents, but definitely not top tier type of opponents. Anyways, that's my just wanted to point these things out tonight. That again, it's not all Arum's fault. Part of it is also Crawford, and also reason why Crawford versus Spence fight was never made, or is probably never going to be made. We cannot completely blame Arum for this. If anything, maybe Arum is 15 or 20% at fault. The other 15 or 20% would be PBC, because I don't think they're interested in the fight itself. I don't think they were never really interested in the fight. I think the promoters themselves were not really interested in making the fight, because it never really made sense marketable wise. It's just profit wise or anything. It's within the boxing world. The boxers are this is the top fight. Spencer versus Crawford. If you're a boxing fan, but if this fight would not reach the casual, or people that don't watch boxing, if you're not that big of a fighter, if you're not a Canelo, if you're not Pacquiao, Mayweather, or De La Hoya, or any guy that would be a household name, then it just wouldn't make market wise, the fight would not make sense. So, anyways, and also part of the reason, like I said 15 or 20% Arum's fault, or Top Rank. The other 15 or 20% was PBC's fault, or Heyman, and the other 30%, maybe 30 or 35%, was Crawford's fault, and respectively, the other 30 or 35% was Spence's fault. Spence never really showed interest in fighting Crawford, and then Crawford would not take the 60-40 split. So, anyways, that's it for tonight. Peace out. Thank you for listening.